first of all, thank you, Anna, for the kind introduction. And if you guys had a wonderful conference today, I'll give everybody from BizBash a wonderful hand because they do a great job for our industry. And thank you guys for putting this on, and thanks for all the information. Great job, Scott. And I wish I actually knew I had the answer to marketing to millennials. I have a 14-year-old, and I have to confess I don't have a clue about marketing to these guys. But before we get underway, we're going to have our good friends from Swarmworks. I was sitting in the speakers lounge, and I heard this giant roar going from out of here, and I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able to follow whoever's up there speaking right now. So I figured out pretty quick everybody was having fun. So we're going to, you guys back there? Yeah. We're going to do a couple little audience participation to sort of get everybody warmed up and throw a couple softballs. I know you've had a long day at the end of the day, and everybody's kind of ready to get a little sunshine.
Yes, that's right. We have two questions for you. So please grab one of these magic signal ones. And these are going to be very simple questions. And I think we have to recalibrate. We have a different number of people in the audience now. Please, everybody show black. Quickly, show black. Switch to white. Hold the white until this disappears. Then we have 100% line engaged. And then we can do relative polling. Okay, here comes the first question. With today's technology, would you rather watch the game or a game from the comfort of your home or be live at the live event? Show white if you watch at home or black if you watch the live event. Now please, everybody, make up your minds now. Hold up, okay, we freeze the result. When you get 40% want to stay at home, so 40% couch potatoes, and 60% will still go to the game. Second question straight away. Second question. Would you rather watch a sporting event from your TV or your handheld device? TV is white this time and handheld is black. That's pretty obvious, all right? Almost 100% prefer the TV and the rest make do with the handheld. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much. It's amazing technology. We're going to be using this all ourselves. So that's an interesting stat, particularly the number 2 question, and I think it also reflects the demographics of the room. If you were to ask my son what he would rather do, he rarely watches television. We call this, obviously, as you know, the unplugged, the unwired, the disconnected or very, very connected generation. So that's one of the great challenges that face our clients as well as your clients, and particularly as event marketers and event planners and event managers. Wonderful displays in there, a lot of great technology. But as corporate marketers, obviously the holy grail of marketing is this millennial. Not only the amazing spending power of this millennial, but the ages from 13 to 18 is really when this brand love and brand loyalty are first embedded. And if you can capture a customer's heart and mind when they're 13 and you follow them through the progression of life, whether you're a beverage manufacturer, a bank, an automobile, and you carry them through their progression of life 60 or 70 years, the value of that consumer is obviously in the tens of millions of dollars. And so a particular challenge for the Coca-Cola company and for ESPN, and that was the challenge that we were facing when we won the assignment to market the Coca-Cola Zero brand through what is a traditional viewing platform, which is a college football game. How do we carry that experience through and really reach that consumer on the campus, that teenager, that millennial, their first, the first glimpse of independence and their first glimpse of freedom? And so how do you begin to really engage a two-way conversation with that consumer? And then how do we as event planners, how do we use our events, our investments, and create, not only use that environment, but to continue a two-way or an ongoing dialogue with that consumer year-round and hopefully for the rest of their lives. Well, what we did was that we wanted to create a unique marketing experience. Every college game day on every campus where we had, and I'll lead you back to some logic behind this in a minute, but if you'll see, we created an event called Coca-Cola Section Zero. And what this was is we would go into a college campus the Friday before, when ESPN Game Day would come into town on Friday before. So for instance, you see Texas A&M, College Station, when they played the University of Alabama in September, and we worked with another firm, CSE, to create sort of an NFL-style combine. But instead of doing traditional activities like running through cones and jumping rope and jumping through hoops and all those types of things. We built a type of combine that engaged the student where they were most familiar. So we tied in with one of our major customers, which was Buffalo Wild Wings. We had hot eating wing contests. We tied into a customer, Domino's and Coca-Cola, and we created these contests that really created a vibrancy or relationship or an engagement where these thousands of kids on this campus, if you think about it, would stop free of charge and engage with our brands. So how does that ladder back to the events that you do is that we all are evolving as event planners from a somewhat of a static one-off or a static experience to really utilizing technology to create that engagement, utilizing that technology to use that one person. I like to say everybody thinks they're now a talk show host because everybody has a format or a venue or an environment to put their opinion out, and obviously that's a double-edged sword as well. I get a lot of you are in your room, you have your favorite sports team, or you have your favorite professional team, or your favorite colleges, or your favorite mascot, and we all have favorite memories of something that was related to a sports or entertainment event. And what we tried to do was we tried to tap or harness that tradition. So on the left-hand side, you'll see the famous rock that the Clemson players rub before they go into their stadium in Death Valley, and my partner, Michelle Gretsch, my business partner and chief operator, she's in the room somewhere. I had to put this Michigan picture in as a tribute back to her. But what we tried to do, and you'll see how we paid it off in other environments in just a moment, but what we did was we tried to tap the traditions of that school of where ESPN College Game Day was visiting. And then we tried to integrate those traditions into the experience that these kids were going to experience when they were going through their combine, or on that Saturday morning from 9 to 12 for 3 hours Eastern Time. You'll see how we really utilize traditions, utilize the students to basically create and use our fixed event within the ESPN set as a 3-hour commercial for the Coke Zero brand. We've got a video here. I'm not sure, Anna, how I should play this because I'm sure I'll hit the wrong button anyway.
Rites of Passage is brought to you by Coke Zero. With real Coke taste and zero compromise, Coke Zero lets you enjoy everything.
Here at Ohio State fans, sneak in there to Section Zero. Oh yeah, Coke Zero, best seat in the house. How do you get like a little bit of beanie wells?
He already did get EOH a few times, I can tell you that.
The rites of passage for this being brought to you by Coke Zero. Christian, painting a rock. It's part of the fabric here in Michigan. It's on a famous corner around, and they constantly change. You paint a little masterpiece, then you got to stand out there, you got to guard the rock to make sure it doesn't get painted over real quickly. You slide out like that and do a little painting in your ear. Yeah, I've done it maybe 2 or 3 times when I was real young. All that frivolous stuff. Exactly, I'm a freshman sophomore year. There's a Section Zero. It'll be with us. You got to earn your way in there, but absolutely. I mean, that's seats for earning their way in.
So if you notice there, our mantra is that we made our kids the content. So what we did was, and if you think about it, none of those kids in there were paid. They weren't endorsers, they weren't advertisers, but they basically were de facto social ambassadors for the Coca-Cola Zero brand. But why? They wanted to be on television, the Magic Grail. Not everybody obviously has the platform to have a national television campaign, but again, in any environment, whether it's at a trade show, a private meeting, the introduction of an automobile, or in a college campus, what we try to do is, the big takeaway is really use everybody that's visiting your event or participating or interacting at your event and treat them as content. Treat them as programming. And try to begin to build your activities and events around your event as a content strategy, as a content platform. And I know that's a little bit of a paradigm shift when we all get our budgets and we get creative briefs and we've got clients that may or may not understand what it takes to market to millennials or something like that. But always remember a mantra is, use your event platform and your participants and think of that as a media platform or a content platform. And you might be surprised at how you can integrate and build out other activities behind that. BizBash has done a great job of that today. A lady took, against my wishes, took my picture at lunch, and then all of a sudden it's all over the world. So, so half my clients know I'm in South Florida playing hooky, but that's okay. But again, like, think about the fact that these participants in this event became our advocates, our social ambassadors, and they became the content of which we were trying to promote in a branded way. ESPN was an interesting challenge. You look at ESPN as a traditional sports network, but ESPN has done a fantastic job of embracing millennials. They've got incredible digital platforms, and if you think it's an accident that Johnny Manziel wound up on the cover of this magazine, televised every week, it was not an accident. But let's think about Johnny Manziel as a prototypical millennial. And what does that mean? He has a very limited attention span. As we all know, if you deal with millennials, their attention span is about like that. That leads to the fact that these guys and girls are extremely fickle. They want an authentic integration, they want an authentic experience, or they're going to reject you flat out. So it has to be authentic. It almost has to be their idea. But these individuals are, I'm raising a 14-year-old, and what I have discovered, and it's a double-edged sword, is that these are the most sophisticated consumers generationally that ever have existed. And one of our major challenges, and one of our major opportunities, though, is that when we're all planning our traditional event, and like I said, we get our brief, we get our budget, we've got deadlines, we've got unwieldy clients, we've got, you know, an unwieldy space or meeting room that won't work. But step back for a minute, and even if it's ad hoc or impromptu, engage individuals within your organization, or engage individuals within your arm's reach that who are millennials. Ask them, I didn't know what Vine or Vimeo or any of these applications are, and then by the time I've discovered them, they've already moved on. I mean, none of these kids are on Facebook anymore. So in this room, we all assume that they're on Facebook. They hadn't been on Facebook in years. They've already moved to Instagram, but they're already looking at the next, the next evolution of Instagram. So as much as you can, engage, even if they are in your organization, they're millennials. Find out how they're communicating. Find out how they're gaining information. Find out how they're transferring information, because I will guarantee you it's not what we think it is. Because we all assume they're still on Facebook, and they have moved off in swarms off of Facebook. That's why it's important technology like SwarmWorks does allow you to create a two-way engagement within your event. And in the case with Johnny Manziel and many of these consumers in the millennium, they are empowered and they are shameless. They feel like they're owed self-promotion. And they don't really apologize for it. They don't back down from it. And in the case with Manziel, I mean, even as he's auditioning for his career pro football, he makes his tryout day a circus within itself. So if you don't tell me these kids are not sophisticated, and he basically built a commercial for Nike within a serious tryout, so never underestimate how sophisticated these kids are. So if you look in the background and study, is the kid in the back who's pouring, I'm not sure that's how I would do a product placement, but he's pouring Coca-Cola Zero all over himself. But we did gain a whole lot of on-air mentions and things, and the Coke Zero did just happen to show up there. But anyway, it goes back to my other point. These kids are absolutely shameless. But what was the point of his shame? He got on television. He was on television for a couple of minutes. It was tweeted out by multiple members of the media and ESPN Game Day, and all of a sudden he is a star to several million people across the world. I'm not sure his parents kept him in school after this, but again, he did get his 2 or 15 minutes of fame. And again, also think about this too, is that as these consumers are coming into your environment, these fans are coming into your environment, they do have a morbid fear of missing out, because every one of their peers and who are also involved in social media, it's almost an arms race or a contest. So like in the old days, I would collect baseball cards with like 3 kids. My son is playing games with kids all over the world at any given minute. So just to think about how this is all changing, they do have a fear of missing out. And again, now, and we'll ladder into a discussion about what their expectations are of experiencing the event, or the value of their experiencing the event. So I could watch that all day. It's somewhat mesmerizing, but it helps if you have a cocktail when you watch it, so a little bit. But But so what's the challenge facing college football attendance now? And it's, by the way, not just college football. If you talk to concert promoters, if you talk to car show operators, if you talk to outdoor show operators, if the events that you produce, unless it's a command performance, television and technology is creating a cross of a double-edged sword. If you obviously look at what's going on with television consumption habits, it's a hell of a lot easier to stay at home and watch something on television now. It's a lot easier to go shopping and watch something on your mobile device and do multitasking as you're out. But the television companies are paying huge right fees for the Oscars and the Grammys and the sports, and that's why you'll see a continuing emergence of these tentpole events on television, particularly in sports and entertainment. They're somewhat TiVo-proof. They're now events and destinations. Think about the gathering you have in your home to watch the Super Bowl or the Oscars or the Grammys. And so, but think about this in the context of events. Can you create or recreate some type of tentpole event within your event? We like to kind of call it like, let's create an event within the event and make that two-way engagement, make those consumers interact with us, and let's keep that conversation going all day long. Or year long. Obviously the HD has transformed the event. Second screen options are emerging. I'm not sure where Google Glass is going. I'm sure if Google has their name on it, it's going to emerge. I'm hearing where then, there's going to be caps and automobiles and everything with this glass. So as event marketers, what I would encourage you, and we're also busy every day, but again, engage millennials. Ask them how and what they're communicating with now, and any idea that you may dismiss as not worthy or stupid, because I said the same thing about Twitter, and obviously they've made a heck of a lot more money than I have, but I'm like, who the hell is going to use Twitter? And of course 500 million tweets a day, but again, try to continue to stay ahead as much as you can, and obviously there's a lot of coverage of what's going on with Google, what's going on with Apple, obviously Samsung's emerging and other third-party players, and also now too, from an event experience, the value perception, the value creation, and the value that you can provide, and the music industry is actually doing a good job of this. The festivals have had a resurgence because now the fans are able to have a two-way interaction with the musicians. We're not going to talk about it today, but obviously if you haven't pursued or used RFID technology, I would encourage you to use this with your events. And obviously SwarmWorks, their technology is amazing. The RFID technology will allow you to engage that consumer throughout the footprint of the event. It will allow you, with their permission, to capture as much information as possible, and will allow you to continue that conversation with the consumer as they leave your event. RFID now is probably what filling out a survey or filling out an electronic survey was on site about 5 years ago, but it gives you instant data, it gives you instant response, it gives you instant feedback, which you can, as Scott said, follow-up is very important. All of our clients now really want to know what these consumers are thinking all the time. They want to track their habits, they want to track their consumption. So I would encourage you, even if it's a test, to think about integrating some form of RFID into your event, and I saw a lot of really good technology out there, but what's happening in the technology space is crazy now. So our big idea, as I told you, was to create Section 0. And like I said, we use these kids to create content. They gave us the right to do so, but we made it fun, we made it engaging, and if you think about an 18-year-old kid engaging with a 129 or 30-year-old brand, that's a pretty nice juxtaposition. But so what was Coke do? We're trying to create value on the screen. We're trying to make the kids the heroes. We're trying to use kids as the content, because we were using these kids to personify the youthfulness of the target Coke Zero is presenting, as well as the youthfulness of the Coke Zero brand. And we became the best friend of ESPN, because in the past they were broadcast on site, built by the Home Depot, and that was really just a reinforcement of the stage. You had kids holding signs up, but they came to us and they said, hey, here was something that really creates consumer engagement. We'll make the kids a part of the content platform and really help us freshen up and put a fresh coat of paint on game day, and Section 0 was the result of that. There were a lot of fun components where we did want to marry the multi-generational reach of college. Coach Stallings visited in A&M. He's an iconic figure in Alabama, iconic figure in Texas, and so the juxtaposition of a 68-year-old man sitting with an 18-year-old really made a lot of great content, and we encouraged all these kids to tweet, to post, to link, to post the videos, and we got millions of responses from these kids, and really gave these old coaches, they had a whole lot of fun because they obviously love these kids and they devoted their life to it. Let's see. Broadcast integration, and that was the big payoff. And like I said, you could say, hey, it's ESPN and it's Coca-Cola, big brands, but don't underestimate that your event is a content platform. Do not underestimate that the attendees or the participants within your event can be content sources, they can be content subjects, and they can be full-time ambassadors, unpaid for your brand. Now obviously there's some steps that you're going to go through from a permission perspective and a clearance and a rights and a usage, but that's not as intimidating as it sounds. It's stock forms, and what we've learned about these millennials is they will interact with your brand, and they will participate with your brand, and they'll promote your brand, A, if it brings value, B, if it enhances their experience, C, if it creates a reason for them to promote their own self over the internet, and it's an authentic experience. You hear a lot of that word, and what does that mean, authentic, organic? Well, it can be, you know, our clients always try to force their messages down to us, and then we just have to interpret, translate, or print them out. But what we started doing is say, hey, let's look at it a different way. We want to keep the integrity of your brand and the experience in your company, but let's look at it from a little bit of a youthful lens. Let's ask these millennials, because what's the point of having the event if you don't get the engagement, you don't get the feedback, and you don't get the promotion? And then as you are tracking the responses, that obviously allows you to give a greater ROI and feedback on that experience. So when we go back for the budget the next year, we don't get it cut, we get it added to because we created a greater ROI, and we created that, we took that conversation into a year-round platform. But we did use a lot of social platforms. What we found is that probably roughly 80 to 90% of these kids do have Facebook, they do have Twitter, they do have Instagram, they do have Vine, they do have Vimeo, they do have Pinterest. So if you look at each kid and treat them as a media platform, as a content platform, because in the old days, you think about it, and now a kid may have 20 or 30,000 followers. That's the size of the town that I grew up in. And on one click of a keyboard, they have the ability to push that messaging out to 30,000, and it's a giant ripple effect across the pond. We had a lot of broadcast integration of our talent, which we were able to maximize the value of that, which then reinforced, you know, Coke Zero was all about the fun. It was the best seat in the house. And again, think about it. You've got 100 kids sitting in this section that are unpaid social ambassadors, and we probably had another 1,000 that wanted to get in there, depending on the level of insanity they wanted to exercise, like pouring Coke Zero over the head for getting in there. We had a lot of success at retail because at the end of the day in our business, as with many of yours, we're measured on our performance and return on investment and how much things that we sold, whether it's the rollout of a new automobile, the rollout of a new hotel ballroom, or the rollout of Coke Zero and a Kroger. Had a lot of other good. So this is a fun slide. So if you can imagine, ESPN and Coca-Cola Company are probably not the most nimble corporations in the world. And obviously these big corporations that we market to, I say it's like getting the bill through Congress. They move slow, they make decisions slow. But over a period of 15 weeks, we traveled 21,000 miles. We would only find out when we were going on that Sunday before. So back to Scott's point, preparation. When we got to a campus, we would begin setting up on a Wednesday or Thursday. We would engage a lot of kids to kind of help us and sort of make them part of the program. So to kind of sum it up, some key takeaways, particularly to millennials, try to develop events that create a lasting memory for these kids. Try to create something that will build that brand love and that brand participation and have them talking about you for a long time. I think the second one would be create platforms. Look at your event, your footprint, your staging, your sound, your lights, your experience as a two-way engagement model. Think, and maybe almost invert the equation where you're building the event around the experience of that person, not the event back to the experience back to the person, but the person to the experience. And like I said, I know that's a very tough challenge when you're in this room with the clients. But again, try to create two-way engagement, making the kids the content. That's our big buzzword now. And then again, and also try to add and create value to their experience, or like I said, invert that equation. We had tremendous results, 27 million views, impressions on broadcasts. We had 10 million social interactions where, one turned into several thousand, which obviously that was all linked to Coke Zero. We had a 5% retail sales lift during that September to December time period, and our research and results from a building brand love perspective were off the charts. So I really appreciate your time today. Thank you. Thank you, BizBash, for having, and thanks all the speakers prior to me today. I really appreciate it. Thank you.